There comes a moment in every soul's journey when everything feels too heavy to carry, when the silence is deafening, when prayers seem unanswered, and the light you used to follow flickers like it might go out. Maybe you're standing in that moment right now. And if you are, Archangel Michael wants you to know something. You are stronger than you think. It's not in a way the world defines strength, bravado, toughness, pretending not to care, but in a sacred, eternal, soul-born way. You see, your strength was never meant to be flashy. It wasn't designed to be loud. It was designed to endure. It was crafted in the heavens, within the very fabric of your spirit, long before this lifetime began. It's the reason you're still here, still breathing, still hoping. Michael says that even when you feel weak, your soul remembers how to rise. He's been watching over you in the moments you've forgotten yourself. He has stood beside you while you cried in secret, while you questioned your purpose, while you begged the universe for a sign. And now, here it is, this message, this moment, this reminder that you are more powerful than the pain. It's more resilient than the darkness that tries to convince you otherwise. Michael wants you to know that every challenge you've faced has not been a punishment, it's been an awakening. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every storm, none of it was meant to break you. It was meant to crack open the walls around your soul so the light could get in and eventually pour out. Because your story is not about falling, it's about rising again and again, even when you thought you couldn't. He says the strength you seek isn't somewhere outside of you. It's not hidden in someone's approval or in a future you haven't reached. It's inside your bones. It's in your heartbeat. It's in the way you get up after falling down. It's in the way you love even after being hurt. It's in the way you still believe despite everything. The world may not have recognized your strength. They may have told you you were too sensitive, too emotional, too much. But Archangel Michael sees differently. He sees that your sensitivity is your power. Your tenderness is divine. Vulnerability is a holy doorway through which truth and transformation enter. He's whispering to you now, you are stronger than the pain, stronger than the fear, stronger than the doubts. And not only that, you are also meant to be here right now in this timeline, in this form, with these experiences, because something inside you is ready to awaken. You were never meant to survive this world by numbing out or shrinking down. You were meant to walk through it as a light bearer, a bridge, a soul who remembers that strength is sacred, a soul who refuses to give up. Even if you felt like giving up lately, even if you're exhausted, he wants you to know. The fact that you're still listening, still open, still searching, it's proof that your soul is still strong. Maybe the world didn't show up for you the way you needed. Maybe you felt unseen, unheard, misunderstood. But Michael sees you. He sees the fire in you, even when you can't. He sees the warrior who's been hidden beneath layers of doubt. Now he's calling that warrior forward. No more waiting for someone else to rescue you. No more telling yourself you're not ready. No more underestimating the divine force living inside your spirit. Because the truth is, you've already survived what others wouldn't have. You've already faced storms that should have taken you out, but they didn't. Why? Because something within you knows you were born for more, knows your soul is ancient, knows you carry light even when all you feel is shadow. And now, Michael says it's time to remember. Remember who you are, not who the world told you to be, not the mask you've worn to feel accepted, but the raw, radiant, powerful soul that chose this path for a reason. You didn't come here to break. You came here to break through. There's a strength inside you that hasn't even been fully activated yet, a sacred flame that's only just begun to burn. And the pain you felt, the confusion, the doubt, they're not the end. They're the invitation, an invitation to stop pretending you're small, to stop playing roles that exhaust you, to stop apologizing for the way your spirit speaks, to stop dimming your light, so others feel more comfortable in their darkness. Michael is not just your protector, he is your reminder. It's a mirror showing you what you've forgotten, that your strength isn't earned. It's remembered. And now, this is your time to remember. Remember how the stars live inside you. Remember that your tears are sacred, not shameful. Remember that every crack in your heart has let more light in. Remember that the strength you carry is not just for you, it's for the world. Because someone out there needs your story, needs your voice, needs your survival. Not just the polished parts, but the whole journey. And your strength, Michael says, is not just in what you've overcome. It's in your willingness to still love, still trust, still hope, even after everything. This is where the shift begins. Not outside of you, but within. This is where the remembering starts. You are not just a human surviving chaos. You are a soul on a mission. The time for you to own that is now. Asterisk, because the soul can't fully awaken until it's been shaken. And you, beloved one, have been shaken to your core. Not because you're being punished, but because your foundation is being rebuilt. Not with bricks of fear or walls of doubt, but with truth, with light, with strength that doesn't waver when the winds come. Michael reminds you, even the fiercest storm can't drown a soul that's anchored in its truth. And your truth is this: you are not broken. You never were. You've simply been shedding layers of who you're not to come home to who you are. Every experience, even the ones that brought you to your knees, has been part of that unveiling. Sometimes strength looks like roaring into the void, but sometimes it's just breathing through the ache and whispering, "I'm still here." And that is what you've done, time and time again. Whether anyone noticed or not, heaven noticed. Archangel Michael noticed. And he is saying to you now, well done. Heaven doesn't measure your worth by how perfect you appear. It sees you by how honest your heart is, by how much courage it takes for you to keep loving, to keep walking, to keep believing. Even when you've been knocked down more times than you can count. And while the world may reward speed and strength, the angels honor endurance. They celebrate faith in the unseen. And that's exactly what you've carried, faith, even in the dark. Michael says the reason the road's been so hard lately is not because you're weak, but because your soul is expanding. You've outgrown your old life. That's why it doesn't feel right anymore. That's why your spirit feels restless. It's not that you're lost, it's that you're being redirected. It's pulled into alignment. It's called into something deeper. And yes, that transition can feel terrifying. The unknown can shake everything you thought you were. But within that shaking is sacred clarity. Clarity about what truly matters, about who you truly are. And more importantly, about what you're no longer willing to carry. Because let's be honest, you've been carrying too much. Other people's expectations, old wounds, silent guilt, shame that was never yours. And it's made you tired, not just physically, but spiritually. Michael says that part of your strength now is in letting go. Releasing what no longer aligns with your truth. You don't have to be everything for everyone. You just have to be you, the real you. The one who feels deeply, the one who questions the world, the one who sees beauty in pain and purpose in silence, the one who still believes that love matters, that truth matters, that light matters, in a world that sometimes forgets. Michael says that as you reclaim your truth, your power begins to return. Not all at once, but piece by piece. Like shards of light returning to the center of your being. And with every piece, you remember more. Remember the ancient strength that has carried you through lifetimes. You remember the reason you came here. You didn't come to fit in. You came to awaken, to break cycles, to embody divine love in a world addicted to fear. And yes, that path is hard. Yes, it's lonely sometimes, but it's also sacred, because you're not just living for yourself. You're living for the ones who will come after you, for those who need to see what healing looks like in real time. And healing is messy. It's not always pretty. Sometimes it looks like crying on the bathroom floor. Sometimes it looks like setting boundaries with people you love. Sometimes it looks like resting when the world tells you to keep going. Still, in all of that, your strength remains. Not in the image you project, but in the truth you carry. Michael says, your strength is in your presence. In your ability to hold space for yourself, for others, for truth. And the more you allow yourself to just be who you are, the more light flows through you. Not because you're trying to be perfect, but because you're being real. There's nothing more powerful than a soul who's stopped pretending. Stopped pretending to be okay when they're not. Stopped pretending to have all the answers. Stopped pretending to be less than what they are. That kind of honesty, it vibrates through the cosmos. It breaks generational patterns, heals wounds you didn't even know you had. And Michael is wrapping you in wings of truth now, saying, you don't have to keep holding it all together. You're safe to unravel, safe to feel, safe to transform. Because transformation isn't about becoming someone new, it's about returning to the divine essence that's always been there. And no matter how far you've wandered, no matter how much you've doubted, that essence has never left. It's just been waiting for your yes. Your yes to healing, your yes to truth, your yes to no longer running from the parts of yourself that hurt. Michael wants you to understand your pain is not a weakness. It's a portal, a sacred initiation. The wound is where the light not only enters but radiates. And your willingness to feel deeply, that's divine courage. That's soul-level bravery. So here you are standing in the middle of your becoming. Not fully who you were, not yet who you're becoming, but perfectly placed, perfectly guided, perfectly held. Even if you don't feel it right now, you are not alone. You never have been, and every time you've whispered into the void, I can't do this anymore, Michael has responded, yes you can, because I am with you, because you are stronger than you think. Asterisk, and it's that truth that you are not alone that begins to shift everything. Because when you start to believe that something greater walks with you, fights for you, speaks through you, suddenly the weight isn't so crushing. The fear isn't so loud. The path, though uncertain, becomes a little more sacred. Archangel Michael doesn't promise the journey will be easy. He never has. But he promises you this: you will never walk it alone. You will never face a storm without protection. Never rise without purpose. Never cry without angels gathering close. He's been beside you since the beginning. Through the childhood wounds you tried to forget. Through the sleepless nights you thought you wouldn't survive. Through the moments when you doubted everything, even your own worth. Especially then, Michael stood guard. Not because you needed saving, but because you needed remembering.
Remembering the strength you already carry.
Remembering that you are not just a soul passing through, you are a force of light meant to leave a mark. And that's what you're doing, even if you can't see it yet. Your very existence is affecting the energy around you. Your healing ripples outward. Your growth uplifts others, even in ways you don't notice. You think you're just surviving, but in truth, you're leading. Quietly, powerfully, spiritually, Michael says now is the time to stop downplaying your journey. Stop shrinking your light to fit into spaces that never honored your fire. Stop acting like your story isn't sacred, because it is. Every piece of it, every chapter, even the ones that still ache, especially the ones that still ache, because pain, when faced with courage, becomes power. And power, when anchored in love, becomes legacy. And that is what your soul is creating right now, legacy of light. A blueprint of transformation that others will one day follow. You are showing the world what it looks like too. Walk through the fire and come out with softer eyes and a stronger heart. That is no small thing. That is divine work. Michael wants you to understand something else too. Your strength does not depend on constant motion. In a world addicted to hustle, your strength might look like stillness, like rest, like choosing peace over performance, like choosing silence when noise would be easier, like walking away when staying would betray your truth. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is pause. And in that pause, Michael speaks. He whispers through intuition, through gut feelings, through dreams and moments of déjà vu. Through the inexplicable pull you feel toward healing, toward truth, toward something higher. You are not imagining those nudges. That's guidance. That's the divine speaking to your soul. And Michael is often the one delivering those messages, minding you that you are already equipped for this journey, even if you feel wildly unprepared. He says, trust your becoming. Trust the process. Trust the divine unfolding. Even when it's messy, even when it doesn't make sense, even when you feel like you're taking one step forward and 5 steps back, because your healing is not linear. Your awakening is not a checklist. It's a spiral, a dance, a sacred unraveling and reweaving. And the more you surrender to it, the more you discover who you truly are beneath all the layers you were taught to wear. You are not weak for needing rest. You are not broken for needing time. You are not behind. You are on time for your soul's journey, and Michael wants to break the lie that says you have to earn your worth. You don't. You never did. Your worth was sealed by the Creator the moment your soul took form. It is untouchable, unshakable, eternal. So stop waiting for someone to validate what heaven has already affirmed. You are enough as you are, and you are not here to prove yourself. You are here to be yourself. Fully, unapologetically, divinely. There is power in simply existing as your truest self, in saying, "This is me, and I am still becoming," and that is holy. That kind of authenticity shakes timelines. It collapses false realities. It opens portals of divine possibility, and that's where you're headed now. Not toward perfection, but toward presence. Toward alignment. Toward the version of you that was always written in the stars. Michael is clearing the way. He's guiding your steps. But more than anything, he's calling out the strength in you that has always been there. Not the strength to control or force, but the strength to trust. To trust yourself. To trust the path. To trust that even the pain has purpose, because every soul who rises has, at some point, fallen. And every healer has, at some point, broken. And every warrior has, at some point, doubted their worth. That's not failure. It's initiation. You are in the sacred middle. It's an in-between space where the old no longer fits and the new is still forming. It can feel disorienting, lonely, raw, but it is also holy, because this is where your wings begin to stretch. This is where you start to feel the truth of who you are not with your mind, but with your being. You are not here by accident. You are not too late. You are not too much. You are exactly where you need to be. And Archangel Michael is standing with you, sword of light in hand, reminding you that every breath you take is an act of courage. Every moment you choose love over fear is a revolution. Every time you rise, no matter how slowly, you are shifting the world, so don't you dare give up now. You are closer than you think. You are stronger than you know. And this moment, this breath, this message is not just comfort. It's a call to rise, a call to reclaim, a call to remember. Because the world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be real. It needs you to remember who you are. Asterisk. Because remembering who you are isn't just about recalling the past seeds, about reclaiming your essence. The part of you that existed long before the pain, the labels, the expectations, the part of you that still stands untouched, unbroken, radiant with purpose. And Michael says that essence is rising now, like embers stirred back into flame, like ancient truth waking up in your bones. He whispers, "You've forgotten how powerful you are, but heaven hasn't, and now it's time to rise." It doesn't matter how far you've wandered. It doesn't matter how long you've doubted. What matters is the moment you decide, the moment you turn inward and say, "I'm ready to see myself clearly. I'm ready to stop pretending I'm small." Because your soul was never meant to play small. That heaviness you feel when you dim your light to make others comfortable, that's your spirit resisting falsehood. The discomfort is sacred. It's a message, divine nudge saying this is not who you came here to be. Michael says you didn't come to fit a mold. You came to break it. You came to remind others of their light by unapologetically shining yours. You came to speak truth in a world that sometimes forgets how to listen. You came to love deeply, to feel wildly, to create boldly, not because you have something to prove, but because your soul was made for expression. And yes, there will be resistance. Yes, not everyone will understand. But your calling was never meant to be universally approved. It was meant to be followed, even when it's lonely, even when it's quiet, especially then, because your soul is on a mission. It's not one of fame or validation, but of remembrance. And the more you remember your worth, the more the universe rearranges itself to meet you there, Michael says. Now is the time to stop waiting. Waiting for the right moment. Waiting for the fear to disappear. Waiting for permission. You are the moment. You are the sign. You are the permission. The fear may still be there, but courage doesn't mean its absence, it means moving anyway. Choosing to believe that the light within you is more powerful than the shadow around you, and it is. Even when the world feels dark, even when your heart feels heavy, even when everything in you wants to hide, Michael is standing at the edge of that darkness, holding out his hand, saying, "Come, there is more. For you, more peace, more truth, more freedom. But to step into that more, something must be released. Something must be laid down. Maybe it's the story you've been telling yourself about who you're supposed to be. Maybe it's the belief that you're not enough unless you're constantly doing. Maybe it's the illusion that your past defines you." Michael says, let it go. Let it fall. Let it burn if it has to. But do not carry what no longer belongs. We're being called into a higher alignment, and you cannot rise while clinging to what was never meant to last. This is the season of sacred shedding, of remembering that you are not your trauma. You are not your failures. You are not your mistakes. You are the one who rose anyway. You are the one who chose healing. You are the one who turned pain into prayer. You are the one who stood in the ashes and said, "This is not the end of me," and it's not. It never was. Michael says, this is only the beginning. The beginning of you finally standing in your divine authority, of owning your voice, of walking in your truth with open hands and an open heart. And when you choose to be who you really are, instead of who the world told you to be, something miraculous happens. The universe starts responding differently. Doors you never saw begin to open. Connections you've longed for begin to appear. Opportunities align. It's not because you forced them, but because you finally aligned with you. That's the magic of authenticity. That's the power of soul-aligned living. It's not about chasing, it's about allowing. It's about knowing your energy speaks before your words ever do. And when your energy is anchored in truth, everything around you shifts. Michael says, your only job now is to be who you are fully, without apology, without fear, without delay. And that doesn't mean you won't feel doubt. It doesn't mean you won't stumble. It means you'll trust yourself through it. It means you'll stop abandoning yourself to keep others comfortable. It means you'll rise every time you fall, not because you have to, but because your soul knows there's more. You are not here to play safe. You are here to play divine, to step into the arena of truth, knowing that your light is needed, to speak words that heal, even when your voice shakes, to embody love, even when the world tempts you with fear, to live your truth, even when it costs you comfort. Michael says, you have no idea how many lives your courage is touching. You may not see it, you may not hear it, but your light is working behind the scenes in ways only heaven can witness. So keep going, even when it's slow, even when it's hard, even when you feel invisible. You are not. You are seen. You are held. You are guided, and you are stronger than you think. Asterisk, and the truth is, your strength was never meant to be measured by the world's standards. It was never about how much you can endure in silence or how well you pretend everything is fine. No real strength is softer than that, quieter. It lives in the way you choose to love again, even after heartbreak. It pulses in the way you keep showing up, even when no one claps for you. It sings through every scar you carry with grace instead of shame. Michael reminds you that the spiritual path is not about escaping life. It's about diving into it with awareness. It's about walking through the mess with your head held high, not because you have it all figured out, but because you're grounded in something real, something eternal, something no one can take from you. That something is your connection to the divine, and it's growing stronger every day, even when you feel lost. Especially when you feel lost. Michael says those moments when you feel the most unsure, those are actually sacred thresholds. You're not being abandoned. You're being called deeper. The silence isn't rejection. It's invitation. The confusion isn't punishment, it's transition. You're being rearranged, refined, rerouted into truth. So if you're tired, it's okay if you feel like nothing makes sense. That's okay too. You're in between timelines. You're dissolving old versions of yourself that were built on survival and fear. And now, something new is being born through you. Something pure, something real. But birth is never easy. It's always messy, always painful. And yet always miraculous. Michael wants you to stop expecting ease and start welcoming depth. Because when you embrace the depth, you stop resisting what your soul came here to do. You stop fearing the discomfort and begin to see it as sacred fire, fire that burns away illusion and reveals your true form. And your true form, it's radiant. It is ancient. It is unbreakable. Michael says your soul has been through lifetimes of learning. That's why you feel so much. Why you carry wisdom in your bones. Why you've always felt a little different. You're not crazy or remembering. You're waking up. You're reconnecting with your original essence, your divine DNA. That's why the things that once satisfied you now feel hollow. That's why the relationships that used to define you are now dissolving. That's why your spirit aches for more. Even when everything looks fine on the outside, you're being called home. Not to a place, but to a presence. A state of being where you no longer hustle for love, no longer perform for worthiness, no longer silence yourself to be accepted, because the version of you that survives by shrinking is not the version of you that will lead the next chapter. This next chapter requires your wholeness, your voice, your vision, your heart unguarded, unfiltered, untamed. Michael says this is your time, not someday, not when you're more healed, not when it all feels easy. Now is the moment your soul has been preparing for. Now is the time to step into the light you've been hiding. Now is the time to speak the truth you've been holding. Now is the time to embody the wisdom you've earned and know it won't be perfect, but it will be powerful. Because when you show up as your full self, flaws, fire, and all you become a portal for divine transformation. You remind others what's possible. You walk with a light that pierces through illusion and awakens something ancient in those around you. That is the real work. That is why you are here. You are not here to fix the world, but to light it up. You are not here to save everyone, but to remind them they are already whole. You are not here to be liked, but to be real. And the more real you become, the more aligned you get, aligned with your path, with your purpose, with the people meant for you, Michael says. When you align, you attract not by force, but by frequency. And your frequency rises every time. Tell the truth? Every time you trust your intuition. Every time. You bless your past instead of resenting it. Every time you forgive yourself, dash again. Every time you breathe deeply and say, still here. I am still rising. Because that rising, it's not just for you. It's for everyone your life will touch. Everyone who will feel a little braver because of your story. Everyone who will see your light and remember their own. You are not a burden. You are a blessing. You are not a mistake. You are a miracle. And your presence here right now on this earth in this time is not random. It is divine orchestration. Michael says every breath you take goes through dimensions. Every prayer you whisper is heard. Every tear you shed is witnessed. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is unseen. Nothing is forgotten. You are wrapped in the arms of Flash. Angels who never left your side. You are guided by a force that sees your soul more clearly than you ever could. And you're protected always, even when it doesn't feel like it. So hold on to hope, even if it's fragile. Hold on to faith, even when it's quiet. Hold on to your light, even when the night feels endless. Because the dawn is coming, and when it does, you'll see just how far you've come. You'll see how everything that tried to break you only revealed your brilliance. You'll see that you were never falling, you were becoming. Because in the end, your story isn't about how much you've lost. It's about how much light you chose to carry through the dark. It's not about how many times you fell, but how many times you stood back up, whispered, "I'm not done," yet, and kept walking anyway. Michael says, your journey is yours, is sacred ground. Not because it's always been beautiful, but because you kept walking through the parts that weren't, because you allowed your breaking to become birthing, because you trusted there was something worth finding on the other side of pain. And now, that trust is blooming into truth. You're starting to feel it, aren't you? That shift, that quiet knowing, that pull in your soul that says, I'm coming home to myself. It doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it's just the way you breathe a little easier, the way you speak a little kinder to yourself, the way your heart softens when you look in the mirror, not because everything's perfect, because you finally see the divine looking back. That is power. That is strength. That is what Michael has been guiding you toward all along. He says you don't need to fight to be worthy. You just need to remember. Remember who you are when no one's watching. Remember how your spirit always knew the way. Even when your mind was lost, remember that you are not here by accident, not surviving by luck, not dreaming in vain. You are here because you are chosen. Not chosen above others, but chosen among them. Part of a great unfolding, a divine tapestry, a soul agreement stretching across lifetimes. Your existence is a thread in something far greater than you can imagine. And when you honor your truth, when you live as who you really root, don't just heal yourself. You help heal the whole. Michael says this is the real revolution, not outer chaos, but inner peace. A peace that comes from walking with heaven. Inside your chest, a peace that says, even if the world forgets, I will remember. Even if the road is long, I will rise. Even if I fall again, I will not quit. Because your soul is not fragile, it's eternal. And you, beloved soul, are being called to live like it. No more shrinking to fit into stories that were never written for you. No more pretending to be less than what you are to make others feel safe. No more silencing your heart just to survive the noise, Michael says. It's time to stop surviving and start soaring. Time to stop doubting and start declaring. Time to stop fearing your power and start owning it. Because the truth is, light was never meant to blend in. It was made to awaken. It was made to crack through the shells around other people's hearts. It was made to ignite the divine, its memory in those who've forgotten. It was made to walk into rooms and shift the frequency. And it starts right here with one choice, one breath, one sacred decision to trust the fire within you more than the noise around you. Michael is with you now, and he speaks through your spirit, saying, you are not behind. You are not broken. You are not late. You are right on time for the miracle. That is your becoming. So rise. Not because you've figured it all out, but because your soul is whispering, I was born for this. Rise. Even if your hands are shaking, even if your voice trembles, even if all you have is faith the size of a mustard seed, because that faith, that tiniest spark, it's enough. It's always been enough. It's what parts oceans, what moves mountains, what calls angels into motion. And when you live from that place, when you stop waiting for signs and start becoming one, everything changes. You realize your pain was never punishment. It was preparation. You realize your breakdowns weren't the end. Your divine redirection. You realize your weakness was never failure. It was the very door through which grace entered. Michael says,
Hi.
you are not who they said you were. You are who heaven knows you to be. And heaven knows you to be a warrior of light, a carrier of wisdom, a soul made of stars and fire, and the breath of God. And that means you can walk through anything, because strength isn't in your muscles. It's in your memory, the memory of who you were before the world told you to forget. So remember that your breath is holy, that your words carry vibration, that your presence alone is healing, that your dreams are divine blueprints, not foolish fantasies, that your sensitivity is not weakness, it's spiritual. It's intelligence. That your desire for more is not greed, it's guidance. Michael reminds you, there is a reason your heart won't settle, a reason you keep longing. That reason is me calling you forward into everything you were created for. So take the step, speak the truth, write the words, start the thing, end the thing, say yes, Say no. Say no. Say. Finally, say I'm ready, because you are. You're ready to stop circling the same mountain, ready to release the weight you were never meant to carry, ready to stop begging the world for scraps of love when you were born from the source of it, Michael says. Rise now, a child of light. The earth needs your soul awake. Heaven is cheering you on, and I am with you always. So exhale, smile, place your hand on your heart, and remember, you are stronger than you think, and the best is not behind you, it's rising from within you. Right? Now right here, this is your moment. Walk in it.